tit for tat. And I'm down with that. Hello, my fam. It is Perez, the queen of all media, the original influencer, and your #1 source for everything It Ends With Us saga. This week in the saga has kept me and the lawyers very busy. Not just with letters and motions, but both sides have taken to a full court press tour. I already told you how Fake Lee's attorney was on CNN. Then I told you that to counter that, Baldoni's lawyer appeared on TMZ Live. So what does that mean? Yep, you guessed it. Blake Lively's lawyer has also gone on TMZ. And even though I've already explained to you all that her allegations of sexual harassment and retaliation are still at play and the judge did not rule on that, the lip nibbler's lawyer continues to falsely claim victory. Michael Gottlieb tells TMZ, quote, "My client feels vindicated. This decision this week validated what she has been saying since the day these retaliatory lawsuits were filed against her. We've said from the start that these were meritless, sham claims that were designed to distract from Miss Lively's claims of sexual harassment retaliation that she faced." No, they weren't, babe. If that were the case, he wouldn't have the mountain of evidence that he already shared, and more to come, and soon, because the judge did give Baldoni and parties until June 23rd to file a second amended complaint. Fingers crossed we will get a bunch more receipts, proof, timeline there. Giving us more incorrect spin, Betty Poop's lawyer tells TMZ, quote, "I think it's important to recognize what it means to lose your case at the motion to dismiss stage. When Justin Baldoni and the Wayfarer parties filed this lawsuit, their lawyer went all over the press saying that it was based on undeniable facts and documentary evidence that crushed Miss Lively's false allegations, and the court essentially said, 'I'm going to accept everything you said in your hundreds of pages of pleadings as true.' But even accepting all of that as true for the purposes of resolving this motion, nothing you have said constitutes a legally viable claim." Pause. Because of technicalities. They figured out a way to out-lawyer and protect her. If you didn't follow along, the reason that this was dismissed is because had the Gaslight Girl alum made her claims in a fiery media interview, the defamation lawsuit would have continued. But instead, she made her allegations in a legal document as part of a complaint to the California Civil Rights Department. Therefore, because of how she made her allegations in a protected manner to this government agency, she could not be sued for that, for defamation. And because it was a complaint with the California Civil Rights Department, it was an official proceeding, the New York Times was able to report on it. And that was protected as well. But, big but, even if Ku Klux Khaleesi had made some incendiary statements through the press or on social media, it would have gone to trial, but he would have probably lost. The bar for defamation when it comes to public figures is very high, much more so than for civilians. Baldoni's attorneys would have had to prove malice, meaning Taylor Swift's former bestie knew what she was saying was untrue. And that would be a very difficult thing to prove because what we have here is a difference of opinions. What she perceived as sexual harassment, he did not, and perhaps most of us did not. However, there needs to be malice proven, meaning she knew she was spreading defamatory, hurtful falsities. And that would have not been the case had she exposed everything in an interview or on social media. And now, Bully Lively's attorney is gloating, also telling TMZ about the Baldoni lawsuit. It's all meritless, despite all the bluster, despite all the hundreds of pages of filings, all of the claims, all of these so-called receipts add up to nothing but noise. It has all been dismissed from the case. You know what? I don't think it was noise. I think it was chess. Now that I've had a few days from that shock judgment on Monday, I believe that Baldoni's attorney knew clearly the judge would rule this way, but he wanted to front load the lawsuit with a heavy load to do two things: make her look as bad as possible and get all of their allegations out there, get as much information, receipts, proof, timeline in their complaint. And they did all of that very effectively. And Gottlieb now, her attorney, claims that she is happy to oblige to a deposition, which his lawyer says will happen this month, and Brian Friedman, his attorney, is the one to conduct it. Mike Gottlieb says, "We are happy to oblige him with going forward with our case. The notion that we wouldn't go forward with this case is preposterous, as much as what the Wayfarer party's lawyer said the other day. Of course, Miss Lively is going to go forward with her claims. One of the things she said when this decision came out is that she is more determined than ever to take this case to trial to prove her claims of sexual harassment and retaliation, not just for herself, but for all of the women out there who may suffer from sexual harassment in the workplace, who may not have the resources, who may not have the wherewithal to be able to defend themselves and may not be able to speak up for themselves." Aww, so magnanimous of you. Of course she will sit for a deposition. She's a plaintiff in the case, so she's going to get deposed. Justin Baldoni is going to be deposed. It's really important to remember what the Wayfarer parties have tried to do in this case. They haven't just attacked Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. They've attacked the laws that are designed to protect victims of... Okay, no, stop it, no. Additionally, yesterday, I told you all that Snake Lively's lawyer went to court complaining about the Wayfarer party's lack of cooperating with subpoenas. Team Pinocchio says that third parties, employees now and at the time of the saga from Wayfarer were served in early March. They agreed to an extension, and it's now weeks past the deadline to share the information in the subpoenas, and they have not. Crying Ryan's wife asked the judge to intervene and compel the Wayfarer parties to submit the information requested in the subpoena, and today the judge ruled, not surprisingly, in her favor. Today, the judge issued an order that Wayfarer and the Wayfarer third parties shall respond to the subpoena request by no later than Friday, June 13th at 5 p.m. I'm sure that Baldoni's attorney could interpret that as just respond. That's what the judge says. We're responding. Not responding yet with the subpoena materials, but we're responding to the request. And I would like to thank all the lawyers and these two for keeping me fed. All right, my fam. Thoughts on everything? Let's discuss in the comments.